Hello.
Hello from Europe. How we doing?
Right off the stage onto the
Ooh,
podcast. I love
man,
it.
gotta do it. Gotta give the people what they want, man.
Dedication.
That's right.
Man. All right. So,
Um,
this
I did it.
You did it. Man, this has been a long time coming here.
Boy, hasn't it?
Oh, before we get into all that, should we do the ad we haven't even discussed this. Do we do
We
the
haven't.
new ads? Are they the front of the show? Do we stop at a point 10 minutes in?
I think we do it. So we have two, right?
We have 3.
Oh, it's working.
It's working.
Okay, so we have three. I think we give a little intro to get the people like, oh yeah, I got to listen to this show, reel them
Right.
in, and then
Yep.
hit them with an
Hook 'em.
ad before we, yeah. So we'll do a little topic up top, and then
Alright.
do an ad, and then do another topic. And so when we change topics, we can just say this podcast is brought to you by,
I do think we should do all, like, at least if we have more, we could break them up, but I think they should be together. I think we should just go through like the 2 or 3 in one sitting.
Wow, you think so?
Yeah. That's how they do it on the AM radio. They're like this one, this one, this one. Then they move on.
Wow, it just feels more skippable, doesn't it?
Does it? I mean, we're gonna be quick. It's a sentence and a brand name.
It is a sentence and a brand name. All right,
That's
let's try it
the whole
all
thing.
together. Let's try it all together this time.
All right.
And then we'll see what the people say.
Yeah.
And we'll try it different next time. But first, we got to reel them in with the content.
All right. So you are literally stepped off the stage, and now you're on the podcast. So where do you want to start with that?
Did you watch it?
I did. I have watched.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's a good start. That's a good start.
I gotta watch it before we talk.
Yeah.
I gotta be prepared for the show. Yes, I did watch.
Well, let's start with your first takes. What do you think?
My first takes.
Yeah. I want your first reactions.
Ooh. I like it. I like it. I didn't know what to expect because I didn't really know much about what you were building.
Of course not. I would never tell you.
Yeah.
I would never tell you what I'm building.
What we talked about on the show is pretty much everything I knew. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a single page guy generally. Like, that's not my vibe generally, I would say.
You're an old head like me.
I'm an old head. Like, give me a controller, give me an action class, give me a blade file. I'm fine. Yeah, it's something like there's like a cognitive, like these things are together and it throws me off a little bit. But that said, I think the way you approached it, I do like. Like, I like the PHP tag a lot. Like this is a separate place. Like, and I even like it better. Like, I like it better than I don't know, like than if you were to use like the actual PHP opening and closing tag. Like, I feel like it's like an HTML looking PHP tag. For those who haven't seen it, it's like open, close PHP. And so, yeah, it gives you some space in your mind that like this is the server zone. And I think you even said that in the talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I really like that. And yeah, so I mean, I have some notes, but I mean, big picture, I thought it's interesting. I think like if I was in the Vue React, I want to use these tools. Then I've used just Inertia before, which not Inertia 2. And it definitely helps, but it's still, there's some clunkiness. So I think if this is like, which again, I think it's kind of seems like the emphasis of what you're going for here is like, let's even take off those rough edges. And so you can like not think about inertia or the interaction between the front and the back so much. And you kind of just stay in this file and you got your logic and you got your template. You can pop in your view components or whatever, and you're off and running. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think I have like bigger picture questions for you, but like in terms of like the thing itself, I think you're off to a good start and is interesting.
Okay, I like that. That's good. That's good
yes,
take.
Man.
That's...
Yes, man.
Medium man.
Medium man.
I don't know if I would call you a yes man for that. I would call you a medium man.
Yeah.
I'm fine with a medium man. That's an upgrade from a no man. That's great.
That's where you start. Yes.
I love it. We always start with a no man. Yeah, I buy that. I totally buy that. I think, what do I think? I think this is going to appeal a lot more to people who are coming from the JavaScript ecosystem.
Right.
And so kind of the impetus of the whole thing was, working with Steve, who is a JavaScript guy and has done a lot of Next.js, which is Vue, the Vue version of Next. And working with him on Next, and he's just working with him on a Vue inertia Laravel app, and he's just like, well, why can't I get stuff from the URL down into the Vue template very easily? And I'm like, well, you
Right.
got to, load it from the controller and then return it in the response and then define it in the Vue template. And he's like,
Right.
I ain't doing all that.
Where's
um,
my magic?
yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, that's kind of where this came from. It's like there are going to be people who really want to use JavaScript and maybe are Laravel curious, and hopefully this will bring them in with a little bit lower on ramp.
Yeah, I think it makes sense as like because part of since before I knew, from before I had seen the talk, I was a little like, where does this fit in to like the
Mm-hmm.
Laravel
Mm-hmm.
world, right? Because it's obviously like a little Livewire-ish, but we already have Livewire and we
Mm-hmm.
have inertia and all that stuff. But to me, I guess my takeaway on that front is like Livewire is for people who just want to live in PHP, period.
Correct.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you have inertia, which is sort of like powerful if you want all the power, but also then all the weight of like, well, now you still really have to learn all of Laravel like fully kind
Right.
of and all that stuff. And then this is that like, yeah, like you said, like focused on the JavaScript people, like to bring the JavaScript people into the fold. Like we have a way to get the PHP people into the fold. Now, how do we get the JavaScript people into the fold? Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more straightforwardly or more comfortable than just going the inertia route, or at least for a
Right.
person who thinks about it in a different way, right? And it's like this might be more appealing to them. And obviously, everybody wants to go after the JavaScript people in this day and age
Yeah.
where everybody's
I
starting with
mean,
JavaScript now. So it's like,
yeah.
how do we bring them into the fold? Yeah.
Huge. It's a huge community. I do think they have a lot to gain from picking a back end that is a little bit more powerful than the stuff that
Yeah.
they might have on their side. And I hope that this will help them get there. Josh Siri works at Laravel, comes from a JavaScript background, and he's all in on the I forget what it's called, the Livewire Volt with the like functional
Right.
approach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I was, showing him this, and he was like, "Yes, this is what I want as a traditionally a JavaScript developer. This is what I want." And
Right.
even I like, I showed two different methods. There's like the procedural method and then the class-based method where you can
Mm-hmm.
like define a PHP class on the back end. I prefer the class-based method, but that's
Right.
because I am a PHP developer. And so like
Right.
I think a lot of other people will prefer the procedural style.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to make it more approachable and yeah, smooth out some of those like steps that you have to take with inertia. I still think, at some I don't know if it's level of complexity or what, you'll probably just go back to raw inertia for some things,
Mm-hmm.
especially right now. But the hope is, of course, especially with inertia being first party now,
Yeah.
that we can just kind of make these things a little bit tighter and a little bit better and a little bit more seamless, fusion and inertia.
Yeah.
And at some point, you have the flexibility and the power to do whatever you want, whenever you want. And even like defining it all in a single file, maybe, you don't have to do that. Like even right now,
Right.
I could give you a PHP block with an attribute that's like, give me the class name, and the class name could be in a different file or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so there are a lot of options. I'm going to have to weigh like what do the first set of people want, and try to figure out where it does fit into the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, yeah, I guess how they'll interact with like, because like one of the first things I was talked about is like the file-based routing aspect, and then
Mm-hmm.
like obviously it's not going to fit everywhere or
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So I think there was a way, right? I got distracted at one moment there, but I think you were talking about that there's a way to define the routes
Yeah, you could just define a
directly,
route.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it can get kind of mixed and matched
Mm-hmm.
potentially with
Yep,
other,
totally.
whatever you have going on in an
Yeah,
existing
maybe
app or something like that.
maybe your marketing site is fusion powered and your like admin area is not. Like, yeah,
Right.
that's totally reasonable. If you have a lot of static pages on the front that require, one or two pieces of data from PHP, and like your front end developers just want to make new pages, Like,
Yep.
just make a new view file under the marketing subdirectory and you've got a new
Yep.
page. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that I think is the easy, like, that's the easy stuff to pick up right at the beginning.
Right. That's the low hanging kind of fruit
Yeah.
stuff that can get used right away. What have you felt like the reaction was? I don't know if you had a chance to talk to people yet or anything like
Yeah, I
that.
talked to several people outside and seeing the responses on Twitter. Everybody seems to really like it. They are at least excited about it,
Right.
which is as much as I can probably ask for right now.
Yeah, for sure.
On YouTube, some people are like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen." I'm like, yeah,
Already?
well, you're on YouTube, so
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, in like the comments or whatever. No,
Yeah, in the
somebody didn't actually already
comments.
make a whole video about this.
No,
Thing.
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no,
All right.
no. I released a video, and some commenters were like, "This is
Oh, you
so.
have a
Why
video.
would you ever do this? This is going to end badly." Okay.
Oh, you released a video. I didn't even see that you
Oh,
dropped
yeah.
a video. Oh, I only
We
saw
dropped
the
a trailer.
Laracon talk.
We dropped a trailer. We dropped a video. We dropped a Backstage Pass. We dropped it all, man.
Oh, we're going to talk about Backstage Pass. That's
Yep.
on my list here.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get the trailer. I have to go back and rewatch because they cut the audio. I assume it was
They
just
cut the music. Yeah.
but yeah, so I didn't get the full effect, but it obviously looked like a very nice.
I think it's Steve's
built,
best work. Yeah.
Intro and going through the
this
code
is his
and
best
showing
one,
it all.
I think. It's
I don't know.
so
Is
good.
it the best one? It is good. I really like how he emphasized the code aspects.
You got to listen to it or watch it with the music.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't get that part of the vibe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, very nice, obviously. Yeah, I thought all the stuff about how you're rendering it out is fascinating. And having this in between. So I guess there's maybe I missed that part, but like there's some kind of build step, or is that automatic?
Yeah. So one thing I get for free, or one thing I get to take for granted, is that there will be a build step.
Right.
Because if you're using Vue or React, there is a build step.
True.
And so that's one thing that I can just 100% rely on. And one thing that like users of Vue and React will already be familiar with,
Right.
So it's not like I'm introducing, hey, now you're writing PHP with a PHP build step. That doesn't make any
that's
sense.
all weird.
It's like, yeah, you're still writing Vue. You still are running Vite. The only thing that is different is I'm doing a lot of work during the Vite process.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. So I guess just all the Vite is handling that. When it kicks off its rebuild for whatever reason, then you're hooked in there and doing your stuff there.
Yep.
Which is nice because when you do have a build step, you can obviously have optimizations and stuff potentially in there and different sorts of things. So that'll be kind of interesting. A whole
I can do some expensive work during build time and write it to disk, and then at runtime I don't have to like parse the code by hand. It's like I already did that part, and I wrote some properties on the class that was like, here's all the expensive stuff that I calculated. Just look here. And then during runtime, I can just look there and be like, all right, you, and you. That's it.
So I think in the demo you had it's building into storage. Like, how is that going to work? Like, doesn't have to be. I assume you would commit the built stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's built into storage by default, and that's configurable. I guess you just
commit it from there. Yeah.
And you would just commit it from there. So the same way that you would commit your public build assets or whatever it's called, or build it on CI and commit it from there, or build it on the server and not commit it, but it's like before you flip the deployment
or something.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely writes it to disk and in a place that will need to be found in production. But again, that's a similar or identical paradigm to building JavaScript assets.
Yeah. So now this sounds like, from the little bit I think you talked about on the show already, like you're in there, you're like parsing PHP. You're like,
oh yeah.
You're all the way. So
all the way.
I have no idea how that works. Like you aren't executing the PHP. You are just navigating. You're parsing the language structures and then rendering out your own through there. In that process.
So for example, like if you use the procedural style where you're just raw dog in PHP, no class, nothing. It's just like name equals prop Aaron. I take that entire script and I turn it into an abstract syntax tree using a package. I didn't do this myself, of course, but there's like the same one that PHP Stan uses to like parse your code and like learn things about it. I run the user's code, because at this point it's just code that the user has written or the developer. I parse that and turn it into an AST. And then I walk through it looking for things that I need to transform into the style that will actually work. And so, like, I take the user's code and I shove all of their code into a single function on a class that I generate. And I put it in a class called run procedural code, or I put it in a method called run procedural code. And then I walk through every line, every variable, looking for, did they call prop? Like, did they call my method prop? If so, let's transform that into this arrow prop. So I'm like taking all of these, these functions and turning them into class-based methods, basically. And as I'm walking that AST, I'm looking to see, like, whoop, hey, there's a prop. They defined a prop of name. So I'm going to put that at the top so that later I can see at a glance, like, what are all the props on this class? And so that saves me a bunch of runtime later. And so, and I do a lot with the procedural code, and then with the class-based code, there are just a few things I need to walk and change. But at the end of the day, I end up with an honest to goodness class that extends a Fusion page class, and then I have a Fusion controller, and then I know exactly where to go and get stuff.
That sounds like crazy, but not actually that crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The crazy part is actually doing it, but the not crazy part is at the end of having done it, it's a class. It's a PHP class that you can, and this is my favorite part, you can go look at it. You can just go and look at it and be like, what the hell is Fusion doing here? And it's not all done. There's still some that's done at runtime, but the majority of the work is done at build time. So you're not just like having to trace through this weird reflection at runtime to figure out what the hell is going on.
And a lot of it, it's just really going to be pasted over. Like, I mean, you're looking for obviously your special function call and a couple things like that, but there's actually not as much replacement as you might think.
You will recognize your code.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Let's see if I can find a battery here. I don't want to lose power on the pod,
Uh-oh.
I didn't bring a single adapter. I walked into Europe and was like, I should plug everything in. And was like, oh, shoot, forgot about that. So rookie mistake.
The fun of go buy the adapter, all that fun
Fortunately, Jason Beggs came through and he had a second one.
These Laravel guys.
We love the Beggs,
They always got backups to their backups. They got plans. How was your flight in and out? Everything good?
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. No, it's not great.
Oh, man.
No, first flight got delayed by 40 minutes, which means I wasn't going to have time to hit my 50-minute layover, and so I had to bump my second
not a direct flight? Indirect flight? Never indirect flight.
From Amsterdam to Amsterdam?
Dallas? I thought Dallas would have a direct flight, no?
No. So on the way out,
you gotta move to
give me a break.
City.
That is not a reason to go to New York City. On the way out, I flew through Atlanta, and on the way back, I fly through Detroit. So
I haven't had a connecting flight in 15 years. Maybe even longer.
That's awesome for you.
It's awesome.
I don't have garbage on my sidewalks. Yeah. So we'll call it even.
I don't know about that.
We'll call it even.
I'm excited to get to Dallas at some point and see if I spot any garbage. I feel like
we don't have it. Not allowed.
No garbage.
Not allowed. No. All right. What else should we do? This show's brought to you by.
This show is brought to you by. Do you want to do the first one? We have a special request for you to do this first one.
No. You do the first one. I'll do the second one. You do the third one.
We're going to have to work this out a little bit.
A little give and take. Y'all do not skip. This is going to be good. Listen closely.
Because we need your feedback on this format. The show is brought to you this week by Moonbase Labs. We're the rocket fuel your Laravel project needs to reach escape velocity. Houston, we have a solution at Moonbase Labs.
The show is also brought to you by Bento. Bento is the email service provider that we use at TryHard Studios, built by an enterprising bootstrapper whom we know and love. Find Bento at bentonow.com.
And finally, Packetly. Prevent malicious content by using our simple S3-compatible content identification API. So thank you to all three sponsors of February. You'll be hearing from them throughout the month.
Does Packetly have a URL?
I would think so. They didn't write it though.
Okay,
So
we gotta get them. We gotta have them put in a URL.
So it's .com. They got the .com.
Good for them. Professionals.
Packetly.com.
So this is interesting. I just learned about Packetly. It's working. On
Just it
me.
worked.
I'm the host.
So the same exact thing is true of me. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like S3 compatible, but like it's not a S3 storage thing. It's
Right.
like
It's like
a malicious content scanner thing, and it's like
okay,
that's really
it's
cool. So
working.
it's working. It's working on
That's
us.
amazing.
If it's working on
Oh,
us, it'll
cool.
work for everybody. So yeah, I think
Cool.
it's
That
cool.
was
Look at
good.
that. 30
That was
seconds,
great.
right?
Yeah. Kept it
Yeah.
tight. That was perfect.
I like it. Okay.
All
So
right. Great. What
I
else?
have a couple other things.
Tell me.
Okay. I guess I have two other things.
Okay.
One, well, let's get to this first. Backstage Pass.
Yes.
So you launched a new little initiative. Tryhard
Yep.
Studios has this thing called Backstage Pass, which
Yep.
is a way to sponsor your guys'
Yep.
open source work. It's
Yep.
more direct access. You get Slack channel
Yep.
with you guys in it, and things of that nature. So
Correct.
give me the background. Give me the story.
I'll give you the story. It's a hell of a setup and then an open-ended question. You got nothing. No specifics. Okay. So the thought is manyfold. One is I enjoy writing software. I just really like it. Hard to justify, of course. There is
That's my second question.
Yeah, we'll get there. There is, of course, the marketing angle.
Sure.
Having stuff to talk about, being known in the community for writing stuff is in and of itself valuable. We gotta put food on our family, as George W. would say. So the question is like, how do we justify that?
Right.
The first answer would be you don't, and you just don't do it at all.
Right.
I don't super love that because I feel like I get out of the game, and I like being like actually in the community doing stuff.
Yep.
So that didn't super move me. And so we started talking about like what does sponsorship look like? And historically, I've been reticent to take sponsors because it's always been like I'm going to do open source whenever I feel like it, and nobody can stop me, right?
Yeah.
And now that it's like, well, this is maybe this is a business initiative here. We should see how we can make it a little bit more sustainable. And so we talked about doing like GitHub sponsors and stuff like that, and decided it would be like I would prefer it more if it was like a kind of like an inner circle thing. Like these are the people that are directly supporting my work. I can ask them for like opinions on stuff. I can ask questions. They can offer like inside info on how they're using it. And so yeah, we landed on the Backstage thing, and I channeled my inner Ian, and we gave businesses a way to pay more money just because they're businesses. Like if you're a business, you want to pay a bunch more, you can do that. So yeah, I'm hoping that this allows me the space and freedom to like spend a little more time and energy on it, because it's not just pure like, well, we'll write a blog post about it or we'll make a video about it, and hope that that comes back in the end. There's a little bit more direct incentive here. So yeah, it's I'm excited about it. I think it will be fun. It is a new like arm of the business, open source. But I think that's a good thing. And it most importantly, like it keeps me in the game. Like it keeps me boots on the ground doing stuff. And I think that is important for me psychologically.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I think
hit me with the no take. I
don't have a no take on Backstage. I like Backstage. I think obviously it's like, do you do it yourself or do you just do GitHub? Obviously, like GitHub has some advantages because people are already using it and they're kind of set up, right? But
corporate cards and stuff.
Yeah, but I do think I like in your case. I think at least trying this, doing it on your own is nice. It's nice if you could control it all, right? Because then you could have some more flexibility with what you do with it versus just going off GitHub. Obviously, GitHub's already been somewhat of an unreliable partner, with PayPal removal and stuff like that. So that's not great. So website looks great. I don't know
website
if
looks
Steve
great.
did that, but you did that.
No, shout out Will King.
Oh, Will King did the website too. I knew he did the logo, but I didn't know he did the website. Okay. So
he was the at Laracon US. He was my opposition coach. He coached the terminal.shop team. And turns out he's just like a world-class designer. Who knew?
There you go. These guys are hiding out there. So
I know.
Yeah, so that looks great. Yeah, I like it. I think I never know with these things like how if they're going to work. It's like I don't know. So I'll be very curious to hear how you guys think it's working. Yeah, I'll be really curious about that because it's like it's so hard to
It'll be
tell. Like
good
some
content,
people,
right?
it'll be great content. Like, yeah, I'm very excited to hear people are plunking down cash here. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I think.
Speaking of the guy that we talk about all the time, Jason Beggs walked up after and said, "You got your first $15," and so
Oh, look
Jason's
at
in.
that!
That's all I know so
You got your
far.
first
Jason's in.
sale.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
awesome.
And friend of the pod, friend of mine, Matthias Hansen of Geocodio fame, walked up and said, "Hey, we use Sidecar all the time. No brainer. We're in." I was like,
Oh
"What?
wow, look
This
at
is great."
this. And
Yeah.
Sidecar
So
too, which is like older. It's been around. Like
dusty. I know. It
it's
gives me
nice
like
that
a justification to like, let's get this thing going. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's phase to the second part of this, which is like obviously business dad, right,
Right.
has some concerns that like this is a humongous open source project, right? This is like massive.
Interesting. Now you see why I
So
was moving backwards as I was
right,
prepping.
yeah.
I was
So,
realizing the road
yeah.
expanding before me.
I mean, just even the stuff you saw on stage, like stuff that's basically unrelated, like the tooling, like is it going to autocomplete in PHP Storm and like all this stuff, right? It's going to be all stuff.
I had like 4 bullets, and one of them just said React. Like,
yeah,
just
like
just the entire universe.
problem.
Yeah,
right.
Just like let's build a whole world out of nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a huge project.
Yeah.
So like for something that's like for something that's just marketing, that would give me some pause, right? Because it's like, boy, it's like, are you going to get the marketing juice out of this lemon, like for the massive investment of time it's likely to be, and just like the period of time it's going to take, right? Like for this to become the way JavaScript people come into Laravel, like that is like a thing you build up over years, right? Like, okay, this thing has been, it's not just that it launched, right? And it works. It's like, no, it's getting better all the time. It's staying up to date. Like it's expanding. People are hearing about it. Word is spreading, right? It's that whole thing. So like, obviously that's my concern. But I do think that's sort of interesting, the Backstage, because I just feel like you're not going to be able to totally do this on your own. That would be my feeling, right? So like, I feel like you're having a revenue stream, if that can get built up a bit, and if you would like shepherd it through phase 1 of like building excitement, getting it going, but then you can maybe offload some of the actual forever ongoing work to somebody else, then, and obviously hopefully there's like just open source contributors too.
Yeah, totally.
But I do think like these things tend to require a like head honcho if you want them to really explode, probably not going to just find somebody who's like,
somebody's got to steer the
70
ship
hours a month to just give it, right? Yeah. So at some point, maybe that again builds up over time and you do get a core team and they are contributing a lot, or businesses are subsidizing it somewhat by letting people work on it, whatever, all that stuff. But that's obviously not going to be, day one type of stuff. So yeah, so if you can get like even a modest amount of revenue and you can pay somebody to help out, then that could be very interesting, because then you can obviously still work on it. You can have the marketing angle to it. That's beneficial. You're in the community. It's beneficial, but it's also Aaron works 40 hours a week on this open source thing, and how are we going to ship more courses and all the other stuff you guys have planned. So
no, that's definitely on our minds and a concern. And so the next couple of months will, I think, illuminate some of that. And I'm definitely going to be relying on people to help. I mean, it's going to be like, I do have like a vision for kind of how I want it to work, but there are things that I just can't do. Even already, somebody came up after the talk, Nick, I think his name is Nick Perez, came up and was like, "Hey, I know you said you need React help. I love React. I love TypeScript. I know way too much about TypeScript. I would love to just like help with the React and TypeScript." And I'm like, thank God, because I know next to nothing about both of those things. And I know I can learn things, but to have somebody that like loves React and TypeScript be like, please let me help you. That's what I'm hoping. And of course, you can never count on people offering their time freely. But if people are excited about it and do offer their time freely, that's going to take a lot of the burden off of me. So yeah, it's definitely, and that's again why the Backstage now exists, because there's no way that I could sell this to Steve with it's like, no, it's going to take all my time, but also it's not going to make any money. Yeah.
Right. There was a point a couple months ago where Steve was like reining you in a little bit, and he's like, "Listen, let's get focused. We're building courses. We're doing stuff."
Yep.
So how is Steve with all this?
Has become very excited about this. So I think in the beginning he didn't get it. Nobody got it. Nobody understood. Right. I was just in the lab, just like doing weird stuff. And as I like continued to show him, he was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And there was a tipping point at one point where I showed him, and he was like, oh, okay, I get it. This is how I want to learn Laravel. This is how I want to use Laravel.
Right.
And he said, if that's where I'm at, that's where a lot of JavaScript people are going to be at. And if you're showing Laravel people, which I was, if you're showing Laravel people and they like it, then I think that means we're on to something. Because Steve is, dyed in the wool Vue guy. And he was like, no, this looks great. I would love to use this. Okay. So at some point it tipped over, and then we started talking about like, all right, what are we doing here? And that's where Backstage came from. And, there's a Fusion course or Fusion screencasts, or this could like expand out in any number of directions. But I feel like this gives us good optionality, like to stake a claim and kind of own this part and be able to like iterate on that. I think is it's a good thing long term.
Yeah, I mean, even the course, you could imagine a V1 course that's kind of like, maybe it's even free. Like it's just to like build momentum for the product, to really teach people about it. And then obviously then if it builds up, you can expand that, or Laravel for JavaScript developers, and this is the tool you use in that, or that kind of thing. So, all right, I like that. So Steve's on board. I love how you talk about Steve on stage, and you're like, Steve, as if everybody knows who Steve is.
As if anyone knows.
Like, I can't even remember Steve's last name. I just know he's Steve. Like
he's producer Steve. That's it.
He's Madonna. He's Prince. He's Steve. The greats of our time. He's just one name. That's all.
He's up there. Yeah.
All right. So I don't know, what else? Do you have anything else on this? I mean, talk went well. I thought you did the live coding.
Just did the live coding.
The structure of the talk.
Always a rush. Yeah, live coding went well. We decided to push the release to Monday instead of releasing it on stage, which was hugely helpful. And also gives us another marketing opportunity, on Monday to be like, hey, that thing is out. But yeah, just not having to like shore up the repo last night was like a huge weight off my shoulders. I don't think
you want to do that. You're on a plane, stuff's going wrong or something.
Dude, I was on a plane trying to finish. I didn't have I couldn't call functions when I took off from Dallas. There was I couldn't reach the back end. I could only go from back end to front end when I took off. So 6 hours later, I was almost there, and then I got sleepy because I'm a sleepy guy, and I fell asleep, and then I think it was, what's today? Tuesday? I think it was Monday. I finally, or maybe Sunday night or Monday, I finally got the blessed path figured out, and it was really happy with it. It came out great. But yeah, it was this thing doesn't freaking work.
Right.
And I knew that I could, it's a huge problem. I knew that I could get there. But I wasn't there yet. And so being able to say all right, no documentation, the repo's not clean, because we're not releasing it today. That was such a load off.
You're gonna need reasonable docs for this and stuff in order for people to really use it. And it's you can take another week, get at least a good first pass at that. And,
exactly.
Have it be nice and first thrown together at 4 a.m. or something or whatever. Yeah, it's not gonna be the best. So well, I thought it went great. How's Laracon overall?
Laracon's great. Love to see the people. I'll tell you what, people like the podcast.
The podcast was. I like how you
really like the podcast.
I know. I love that the people like the podcast. Isn't that amazing?
People like it. It is
cool
amazing.
You build something and the people like it.
It is very, very cool.
Which with the podcast is always a little tricky because you don't get that feedback. It's not
I know.
So it's nice you're out there representing us.
Yes.
Getting the firsthand feedback. People can tell you to your face they like the podcast. So.
And I put producer Dave and I put stickers on all the cocktail tables out in the hang space, and they're all gone. Every
Oh, they
single
love
one
the
of them.
stickers.
They love the stickers.
Yes.
So that's super fun. People will come up and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I listen. I feel like I'm your best friend. I listen every week."
That's
And I'm
so
like,
cool.
"That's so awesome."
That's very
So,
cool.
yep, that's been good. So many people on the Laravel team, man. It's a big company.
I mean, they just
It's a
hired
big company.
everybody.
They just hired everybody. Everybody
Yeah,
works at
yeah.
Laravel.
I want to work at Laravel. What are they gonna hire
I
me?
know. If anybody from Laravel is listening, I am 100% for sale. So if
There
y'all
you
want to buy
go.
Try Hard
There's a
Studios,
price. Same. Bring us
write
in
it down,
house.
slide it across the
Yeah.
table. I'll refuse your first offer, so make it better, and then we'll see where we land.
Funny.
So that's been fun. The cloud demo went great. It looks
Yeah,
amazing.
I watched that. That's the only other thing I watched. Yeah,
They bought Inertia, which is like total power move.
love it.
It's like they brought it in house and they own it now. I think that's super cool. Yeah, a lot of good talks, a lot of fun. Good to see all the European friends. Yeah, it's been great.
All right, nice. Oh yeah, that maybe pops on. Oh, Laracon US.
Laracon US.
You're gonna be there, I assume. I don't know if you know
I'm
if you're
going to be the
emceeing or
MC.
anything like that. You
Yeah,
are emceeing. Okay,
I
there we
am.
go. Breaking news. I don't know if they
Breaking
announced that or
news:
not.
Laracon US Dallas. They just updated the website, so I'm there. I'm on
Not
it.
going back to Dallas. It was too hot.
Oh,
Nobody wants
did
to
I
go back
say
to Dallas.
Dallas?
Yes, you
Did I
did.
say Dallas?
Yeah, did you?
Oh man,
I
that
thought you
was
were
a
joking.
total accident.
That
No,
was,
no, no.
okay. Denver.
Laracon Denver.
Yeah.
Denver. That's a little Freudian slip. Yeah, Laracon Denver. Whenever it is, August or something.
Yeah, July.
There you go. And yeah, I'll be emceeing, so that'll be fun.
Nice. And they got a new tier. Did you see the new tier? I don't know if you're aware. I don't remember if you said this on stage. There is a like super swag tier, which is what I bought for me and the team, where you get some kind of Laravel jacket and enhanced swag. And I'm like, what a great moneymaker. Who doesn't want the jacket? Of course. For $30, I'm getting a jacket.
Yeah, I'm getting a jacket.
Of course.
I gotta tell Hank, hey man, I know I'm not like buying a ticket, but I want to be on that tier.
I want the advanced swag tier.
For my free ticket, put me on the most expensive tier so that I get a jacket. That would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, are you tired of speaking places yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, I enjoy speaking. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's I enjoy giving a talk the second time because it's so much easier. But no, I enjoy speaking. I'm actually going to Kent C. Dodd's Epic Web Conf and speaking there on something brand new. So I gotta write that talk.
Is that the one where you're the keynote, or is that a different thing?
No, that's later this year.
Oh, that's
in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, actually Dallas, not Denver.
Right.
So no, I really enjoy it. I like it. Like the only thing that stresses me out is the live coding demos. Like the actual being on stage, totally fine. Feel great. Yeah, seems awesome.
All right, that's good. So you're cool then. You're doing your thing there. Anything else we need to know, or we'll let you go and get back to it?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
All right, I think we covered it.
We did. This is great. We got a man on the street interview right off the stage. I
love it.
We got the ad reads in.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah,
new format for the show, little new element to the show.
That's
I would still like us to come up with like some type of like segments. Like I would like to have some standing segments on the show
I would
that we
too.
can pull in one or two a week. I love a bit, and then to have a standing bit. So I don't know. I mean, we kind of have business dad. It's not like formalized. Maybe we could formalize that. We could do
we could formalize like a business dad and the kid or something, and we get a call in to play
family corner.
Live. Yeah, something. There you go. And we play a call in live asking for business dad advice, and you tell him. No, not live. I meant recorded. Call in recorded. Yeah. We could screen it, cut it down, so it's not like I have a question and really it's like a diatribe of 3 minutes.
It's always
we don't want that. No.
I feel like we could start
with email. We could
I think
say
like send us like that.
Send us an email and we could read out the good parts on the air, and you could do business dad, and I would tell him, nah, don't listen to Ian, it'll be fine.
That could be fun. Yeah. I don't know. We need some segments. I don't know. We need like an Aaron out there idea segment or something. Like
that's just the show.
You could just do it. Yeah, that kind of is the show. I guess that's a big segment. Yeah, I don't know. There's something. I don't know. comment with your ideas for segments for the show.
Comment with your ideas. Yeah.
If you have ideas for things, little bits we already have, possibly that could be structured and turned into a segment, I think could be interesting. Not every, it's like you mix and match. Like some weeks you do one or two. Like not every week has the same structure. But anyway, that might be interesting. All right, man. Well, get back to it. Say hi to everyone for me. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and we'll see you back here next week.
Sounds good. See ya.
All right, later.